The courtroom had already been rattled by a string of testimony no one expected to hear. But when the next name came up, Kim Kardashian, the room shifted. For months, the public had speculated about her ties to Diddy. A few party appearances, some old photos, but nothing concrete. That changed when prosecutors submitted a series of private communications pulled from Diddy's encrypted servers. Texts, internal memos, and most damning of all, video. The video, not shown publicly but described in detail in court transcripts, captured footage from a party at a private estate in 2012. The guest list was elite. The setting was curated. Phones were locked up at the door, cameras positioned in discreet corners. What prosecutors referred to as backstage footage was logged, labeled, and saved. Not for memories, but for leverage. Among the names tagged in the recovered files was Kim Kardashian. The footage showed her arriving at the estate alone. No security, no handlers, just her and one other woman, name redacted. The timestamp placed the arrival around 1:03 a.m. The location, Diddy's Los Angeles residence, which prosecutors now claim was regularly used for what they described as private leverage operations. Not parties, not celebrations, but setups. Kim stayed inside the property for roughly 4 hours. Surveillance footage showed her entering and exiting 3 restricted areas of the house, rooms now confirmed to have been under constant surveillance. What was inside those rooms hasn't been disclosed in full, but testimony from Diddy's former head of internal security confirmed the rooms were where the recordings took place. At the time, Kim was still attached publicly to the early stages of her now global brand. She was appearing on television, attending high-profile fashion events, making carefully curated moves into the business world. But what the footage and communications suggested was something far less curated, something orchestrated. Court documents referenced a file labeled K3LockerVault.mp4, recovered from a RAID drive seized during the Miami raid. Inside that file was video of Kim interacting with at least 2 unidentified male guests. While nothing illegal was captured, the context was described by prosecutors as compromising by design. The footage was kept, archived, stored with metadata including time, guest list, and corresponding text conversations between Diddy and his assistant. In one message, Diddy allegedly wrote, "Don't delete Kim, we might need her." The phrase came up twice in the courtroom, once from the prosecution, once during cross-examination. Diddy's team claimed the message was out of context, but the follow-up message, "She don't know, but she'll play along if she needs to," was harder to explain. Kim's name didn't appear in any of the lawsuits that led to Diddy's current charges. She was never named as a witness. But now, her involvement has surfaced in a place with no scripts, no editors, no PR filters, and it didn't stop at one party. According to a statement from Diddy's former executive scheduler, Kim appeared at least 3 times in events marked Private NDA Tier. Those were events where attendance required biometric confirmation, non-disclosure signatures, and in some cases, controlled entry and exit protocols. The same witness claimed that several guests, celebrity and otherwise, were not fully informed about the nature of those events until after they arrived. Once inside, the pressure shifted. Liquor flowed, substances were circulated, people were watched, rooms were wired. Everything was staged, the witness said. People thought they were partying, they were being documented. What made Kim's situation even more complex was timing. One of the events she attended happened days before a major endorsement deal was announced publicly, one tied to a fashion label co-owned by investors with financial links to Bad Boy subsidiaries. Prosecutors showed a wire transfer from a Luxembourg-based holding company to an LLC affiliated with that brand. The date matched the party footage. Kim's team has declined all comment. No denial, no legal threats, nothing, just silence. Inside the courtroom, the discussion shifted to intent. Prosecutors weren't alleging criminal behavior on Kim's part, but they argued her inclusion in the footage, the way she was filmed, categorized, and stored, was consistent with a broader pattern, a strategy. They called it social blackmail, not extortion, not threats, just insurance. a way to keep powerful people nearby, compliant, on script. The tapes weren't about exposing people. They were about protecting the circle, making sure no one walked away and talked, making sure everyone owed something or feared something could surface. According to internal memos recovered in the raid, Diddy's team referred to this as the vault. Not a literal vault, a digital archive, encrypted folders with names, timestamps, incident reports. Some folders were marked neutral. Others were tagged leveraged. The footage involving Kim was tagged contingency. That one word is what made the court pause, because it suggested something deeper, that the people being filmed didn't know. And even if they weren't involved in anything criminal, the footage was edited, framed, and stored in a way that it could be. The former tech contractor who maintained the archive testified under seal, but parts of his deposition were read aloud. He confirmed that at least a dozen high-profile figures, including actors, musicians, and media personalities, had similar footage stored. Some were edited down to short clips. Others had audio layered from other conversations. The goal wasn't to produce content. It was to maintain control. Kim's footage, he said, was stored in a composite folder, a bundle of clips that could be cut together to suggest a different timeline. The contractor made clear, it's not fake, but it's not truthful either. It's constructed. This revelation moved the case from individual allegations to institutional ones. If Diddy was orchestrating footage not just to hold over others, but to actively reshape narratives, the trial now had reached beyond just personal conduct. It touched branding, media, reputation engineering. Kim's public silence fed speculation. Inside the courtroom, her name became symbolic, not just of another celebrity drawn into the storm, but of how layered the manipulation was. How many people might have been positioned for leverage without ever realizing it. The assistant who leaked the original footage said the storage servers were divided into tiers. Tier 1 was raw footage, Tier 2 was edits, Tier 3 was response materials. According to internal notes, these included drafted emails, pre-written social posts, and PR talking points ready to be deployed if any footage ever leaked. Kim had a file in each tier. One document labeled "If K3 Breaks Silence" included a bullet point plan to flood news cycles with positive coverage, stage paparazzi shots, and reframe her narrative as empowered, unbothered, iconic. The machinery was built in advance, just in case. That kind of preparation didn't happen overnight. It was part of something bigger, a system, not just of surveillance, but of management. People were cataloged, their access, habits, vulnerabilities, not for public consumption, but for private security, not in the sense of safety, in the sense of power. Back in court, the prosecutor summarized the footage's purpose in one line. It wasn't about exposing Kim. It was about keeping her close. The jury didn't react. They were learning how this world worked in real time. No direct threats, just positioning. Just quiet reminders that eyes had been watching, that moments had been saved, that the record wasn't just public, it was edited in private. One of the investigators who reviewed the footage testified to patterns, not just who was filmed, but when. Kim appeared most frequently in the archive during transitional moments in her career, right before brand deals, right before shifts in public image, always in curated settings, always surrounded by the same cluster of insiders, always filmed, whether she knew or not. The court isn't judging Kim. She's not on trial, but her inclusion revealed how deeply embedded the surveillance network had become. It wasn't about threats, it was about structure. And the people inside that structure, willingly or not, helped sustain it by remaining silent, by showing up, by letting themselves be documented, even unknowingly. The assistant who turned over the footage said there were still over 400 files unreleased, some too sensitive, some too risky, but the prosecutors have seen them. The defense knows they exist, and the industry knows what that means. For Kim, the court didn't make conclusions. It didn't need to. The footage spoke for itself. Quiet, undeniable, not sensational, just undeniable. And now her name isn't just in headlines, it's in the case file.